From becoming the youngest UFC champion in history to losing his belt more times than he has losses, Jon Bones Jones' rise, fall and redemption is a story with more plot twists than a Christopher Nolan movie. Now it's safe to say that Jones has earned his spot at the top. He's quite literally put blood, sweat and tears into his craft, and you'd think he had a degree in mathematics the way he knows his way around an octagon. Let me take you back. Unlike his brothers Arthur and Chandler, who went to the NFL, Jon had other plans. He dropped out of college to start his MMA career. Jones made his UFC debut after just 9 months of MMA training and a 6-0 record, punching his way to a 9-0 record in less than a year. Jones moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico to train with the legendary MMA coach Greg Jackson. Like a modern day Philip TT's, this hero trainer has worked with such champions as George St. Pierre, Holly Holm and Rashad Evans. However, Jones' first loss was marred by controversy. Although Jones dominated most of the single round fight, his short time training soon became evident as he threw some illegal elbows to Matt Hamill's face. Hamill was unable to continue due to a dislocated shoulder, so Jones was disqualified. To this day, the widely disputed loss remains on his record, despite the best efforts from UFC President Dana White to have the decision overturned. However, Jones sees the loss as a blessing in disguise.
And it's good not to be undefeated because sometimes when guys are undefeated, they try to protect this perfect record,
allowing him to focus on dominating his division. Jones went on to defeat Shogun Rua and become the youngest champion in UFC history at just 23 years old.
You are the new light heavyweight champion and one of the best fighters in the game.
Jones now holds the record for most title defenses in the UFC and has never lost a title match since. You'd think this means he's held the belt since 2011, right? Wrong. It's safe to say that Jones' rocky relationship with his championship belts would make Henry VIII proud. During a 2014 face-off with Daniel Cormier, Jones engaged in some classic forehead-to-forehead combat, prompting a throat shove from Cormier, and of course, chaos ensued. Jones was fined $50,000 for the altercation, but went on to beat Cormier by unanimous decision. It was announced that Jones had failed a drug test prior to his title defense. He was fined $25,000 and said,
"Yeah, I'm not a cocaine addict by any means, or not even a frequent user. A really dumb decision. Just really got caught my pants down in this whole situation."
He must have missed Uncle Ben's advice.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Jones's troubles continued when he was involved in a hit-and-run incident just a year later. He turned himself in and was sentenced to 18 months probation. The UFC stripped him of his title, removed him from official rankings and suspended him indefinitely. In 2016 he made it back to the UFC and reclaimed his belt, but his reign was once again cut short after testing positive for banned substances months later. He returned again in 2017, knocking out Cormier and being reunited with his light heavyweight belt, only to test positive again, losing the belt and having the win overturned to a no contest. Jones was given a 15-month suspension, and of course he came back and reclaimed that belt for a third time with a knockout victory over Gustafsson. And while his opponents were catching those hands, Jones was still catching charges and somehow found the time between jail visits to fit in 3 more successful title defenses. But Bones had a bone to pick with Dana, in which a pay dispute led to Jones voluntarily vacating his title in 2020 and expressing a desire to move up to the heavyweight division. In 2021, Jones was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for his fight with Gustafsson. However, the next day, police responded to a domestic incident at a Las Vegas hotel where a belligerent Jones was detained, denting the hood of a patrol vehicle with a headbutt in the process. His bail was set at $16,000. Jones posted to Instagram with a caption that read, "I have way too much trauma to consume alcohol. My brain simply can't handle it anymore." The 35-year-old then made his much anticipated return to the UFC in a bout for the heavyweight title against Cyril Gane, and it will come as no surprise that Jones won the bout and the belt, further cementing his legacy as one of, if not the greatest MMA fighter of all time. And we can only wait and see what's next for the UFC's most controversial fighter.
Last thing.